Today I'm talking about fast alternate picking and some of the secrets to how to get there as quickly as possible. Fast alternate picking with precision and clarity is really one of the hardest techniques to get down well, and it just takes a lot of work. But there are some things you can do to get there a bit faster, and that's what I want to talk about here today. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is this issue of pick, tilt, and twist. It's kind of a popular issue on YouTube. I see a lot of people talking about that. To get specific, pick, twist, put the pick against the string flat, that would be no twist, and then as I turn it this way to cross the string at an angle, that's the twist. And then we have the pick tilt, which some people call slanting, pick slanting, meaning the top of the pick, if we move it toward the floor, that would be a downward tilt or slant, and then the opposite would be an upward tilt or slant. And it's something that I didn't go into at all in the original Speed Mechanics book. Well, the reason that I didn't go into it is because I've seen a lot of people use different attitudes of the pick, that's what I call it, different amounts of twist and different leanings of the pick. So I don't think that there's really one answer. You know, if it works for you, whatever you're doing, then it works. I mean, if it sounds good, it is good. That's the bottom line. Now, on the other hand, if it's not working for you, you haven't got the kind of technique that you want yet, and you feel like you're struggling against a brick wall, pick, tilt, and twist might be a piece of the answer. What I use is basically it's the coming out of the strumming approach. So the angle of the pick on the strings is a 45, like this, as you move your elbow. Now, when you pick fast, you're not going to move your elbow, preferably. It's more about a wrist motion here, like this. Now, you can experiment a little and move that angle back and forth, and you'll hear slightly different tones. Certain points you might notice it'll start to catch, and then you want to kind of move your angles a little bit. In any case, those things will affect your picking, but by themselves, they're not really the whole story. In fact, they're not the most important thing. What's the most important thing? The main problem with string catching is that you're probably digging in too much with the tip of the pick, because really, to play fast, you want to play without picking tension. It needs to be relaxed. Well, the only way that you can hold on to the pick in a relaxed hand grip is if you don't dig in much to the strings. And that's really the secret, the primary secret. It's not about tilt and twist. It's really about how much you dig into the plane of the strings. Now, when you grab the pick more tightly, it seems to get a little more stable, and you can even go a little bit faster, but it's kind of a deal with the devil in the sense that, yeah, it'll allow you to get a little bit faster, but the price you pay is now you're carrying all this tension, and that tension is going to create the barrier that's going to prevent you from playing faster, because to play faster requires a more relaxed technique, not a tighter technique. So the real problem is that we're digging in too much to the plane of the strings. That's what tends to cause the pick to catch and not to be able to be relaxed. And the common go-to solution for that problem is to tighten up on the pick and power through it. The trouble is that's the wrong solution, because that actually ends up creating other problems and prevents us from getting the technique we really want. The better solution is to control our picking depth. Then you don't have to tighten up so much. How do we do that? Well, first, it'll help if we understand why we tend to pick too deep in the first place. If the pick is kind of all over the place as you go through your picking patterns, so some of the time it's going to dig in too much, some of the time it's not going to dig in very much at all. And if you take that technique and you try to come out of the plane of the strings, you're going to start missing the string. So what most people do is keep it a little bit deeper so that they don't miss the string. Again, that's kind of the deal with the devil, and it's not the right solution. The right solution is to hone a more regular, controlled picking motion that is so consistent that you can be right on the tip of the pick without missing and without digging in too much. It's easiest to do that, of course, if you stay on one string at a time, because your picking motion is seated and it's regular, and it's pretty easy to get that motion going. And that's why in speed mechanics, when we looked at the right hand, it started with a single string exercise. This old thing. And then, of course, moved across the strings and gradually made it more and more complex. But the point was, we're working on one string at a time. Obviously, you're not going to be able to play a fast run across multiple strings if you can't play fast on one string at a time where it's easiest. There's this pretty common misconception, I think, that when you play fast, because it's aggressive and it sounds intense, that you must be, really exerting. But actually the opposite is true. It's totally relaxed, it's low tension, and it's actually very quiet. If you turn the volume knob off and play a fast line, it's a very quiet and controlled technique, and that's what allows it to be tension-free and relaxed. So you don't want to be holding a lot of tension anywhere, not in your body, not in either hand. But because picking is one of the more difficult things in the long run to get, picking tension is where a lot of players carry excess tension, and that actually causes you to hit brick walls and have barriers to your speed. So tension is something that we want to get rid of, but I generally have found that a conscious attempt to relax as you play really only goes so far. I mean, it's better than not. I mean, it's good to have an idea that you're supposed to be relaxed and kind of try to move toward that. But by itself, I don't think that that's enough. I didn't go into tension per se specifically in the original Speed Mechanics book, but what I did was I laid out a system of developing the picking technique, starting on one string at a time, where we could push up the speeds and then ride more on the tip of the pick, which is what causes your right hand to lose the picking tension. That's what causes it to be able to relax so that you can go faster and faster. And then once you get it fine on one string at a time, up to a higher speed, then the plan is, then we look at the cross-string mechanics, and we want to take that refined small picking motion that we've got working in a relaxed way on one string at a time, and we want to apply it to the string crossings. But I also talk in speed mechanics about practicing with dynamics, and this is the part that relates specifically to tension. This is a practical way to drop tension, is to play dynamically, meaning try to practice quietly. If you can play a line quietly, your hand will relax. And if you're playing relaxed, then you have the control. Now, you can always play loud, just tighten up on the pick and you can get loud. If you can play quiet, you can play loud. But if you're always playing strong, playing loud, you can't play quiet, which means you can't ever fully relax. That's why I put that bit in speed mechanics about practicing with dynamics. It's really a technique to drop excess picking tension. Now, I want to give you something specific to practice to start improving your picking speed. And now we know that we need to work on one string at a time. And so, of course, you can go back to the Speed Mechanics book and develop some of those examples maybe a little bit better. But one of the things that I like doing a lot is using what I call broken rhythms, these metal rhythms that are generally one string at a time on the lower strings, and they use certain rhythmically timed patterns. Here's a good riff to practice to work on that fast picking reflex. It's the bridge out of a song of mine called Broken Angel, and it's in drop D tuning. Now I'll break that down just a little bit. Basically, I'm playing a triplet on the downbeat and then an eighth note on the upbeat. So it's a 16th triplet and an eighth, and that's 4 notes, but the first 3 are in the first half of the beat, and then the upbeat is the fourth, which is the upstroke. So it's this, and then 16th notes. Here's the notation to follow along. And when you speed it up, to learn the rest of that riff, in fact, the rest of that song, join me on Patreon. If you're interested in checking that out, just click the link above. Start to develop the kind of picking control that you need to be able to play the fast cross-string runs. You start on 1 string at a time, a lot of broken rhythms, and I have a lot of examples, that'll take you through that. And then basically we progress to, full runs across all the strings. But, you take it 1 step at a time. So I hope that at least points you in the right direction for how to develop the fast alternate picking lines. It is something, that it takes a lot of work. It takes years, frankly, to really perfect this kind of a technique. So you have to be patient, but if you put in the work and you put it in the right way, with the right kind of guidance, the right kind of direction, then it's going to happen. It's pretty much a slam dunk. If you have the desire and you put in the time, doing the right practice approach, you're definitely going to get there. And I can help you do that over on Patreon, or maybe this is enough and you can apply it yourself and get there. Be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell. I'll see you in the next video.